Inglaba. Welcome back to the machine learning course. In the previous videos, we talked about the supervised learning, right? Today, we are going to talk about unsupervised learning. Unsupervised learning is in contrast to supervised learning. Uh, Unsupervised learning doesn't use the label data. It doesn't require the label data. Given a number of large volume of the data, what we try to do is we try to get the insight about this data from this labeled data set. All right. So for instance, given customer information, we use the clustering method to segment the customer into different groups. So in the unsupervised learning method, right, we are given the data set, but we are not told what to do or what the data is about. So what we try to do is we try to extract the exact information from this and label data using the unsupervised learning method. There are two main categories. One is a clustering, one is the dimensional regression method. Right. In clustering method, like what I mentioned, the data is given and then we use some similarity and difference measure to cluster that into a different groups. Right. Example application is like customer segmentation or anomaly detection. On the other hand, for the dimensional regression method, all right, this is another important unsupervised learning method. In machine learning, when we have the data, right, in the real situation, when you have a data, more data is good, all right, in general. But when you have a lot of data, for instance, we want to predict the price of a house, okay? So we collect the data, all right? Like for example, number of floors, okay? The area of the house, area of the land, and then the area of the living rooms, the age of the house, the type of the materials that you use to build the house, okay? Height of the house, all right? Number of bedrooms, and so on. Okay, environment. So the data are being collected. All right. So in this case, the price of house is our target. We want to predict. Okay. Then the other features are all independent variable. All right. So in the technical terms, when we talk about all these features, these are called dimension. All right. So this is called dimension. So dimensional regression method is trying to extract the more important dimension, more important features, and reduce number of dimension in the feature data sets. All right. So when we do the dimensional regression method, we try to find a space where the number of dimension is smaller than the original data set. Or it might extract only the important features and remove some of them. All right. So dimensional regression method is really very useful for modeling, especially prevent the overfitting and improve the accuracy of the models. And also, it can help us to visualize the data, right? When you have a very large dimension, it's hard to visualize the data. So by doing the dimensional regression, it helps to improve our model accuracy, maybe like clustering, right? Even for the regression and classification. So in summary, unsupervised learning method try to extract the goal of unsupervised learning method is to extract the insight from the unlabeled data. Right? Unsupervised learning method can be classified into clustering method and dimensional regression method. Clustering methods use some similarity and differences measure to cluster the given data set into different cluster, or like normal and abnormal cluster for abnormality detection, right? So it could be possible that we are trying to detect the outliers from the cluster. On the other hand, dimensional regression method reduce the dimension of the dataset, right? Either by finding a new space or removing unnecessary, not very important features. Okay, all right. Now, last but not least, let's talk about the reinforcement learning. As I mentioned earlier in the previous video, reinforcement learning is semi-supervised learning method, right? It doesn't use the label data, but it uses the environmental feedback, right? Environment feedback the method either reward or punishment. So reinforcement learning method find a model, right, that can minimize the total cumulative reward for the agents. So reinforcement learning is much more popular in the field of robotics and gaming. We will not be covering more on the reinforcement learning, but in this course, we will cover mainly the supervised and unsupervised learning method. All right. Thank you, and I will see you in next video for supervised learning.